evening, my beautiful, wonderful dumplings. Today I have a little bit of an announcement. Basically, I've come onto a bit of a conundrum recently, a bit of a situation where I am simply asking the question of what is going on. Like, what is going on right now? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm just absolutely confused. Wow, Shane Dawson's kind of redeemed now. Yep, looks like Jeffree Star was right about everything. Yeah, these guys are basically completely vindicated now. This is an extremely confusing rhetoric which has been floating around on the internet in the last few weeks after the recent James Charles allegations, in which James Charles should definitely be in a prison cell, but also at the same time, I'm a little bit confused about this new belief with Jeffree and Shane Dawson, and I want to talk about this. Because personally, I actually don't believe Jeffree Star or Shane Dawson were particularly cancelled because of one specific situation. I actually think that there were a complete avalanche of new resurfaced footage, new situations and new scandals and new articles which surfaced in 2020, which caused a lot of people to come to this new conclusive opinion. I didn't just say a specific word. To come to a conclusive opinion that Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are terrible people. It wasn't one situation, it wasn't two situations, it was 10 years. An entire timeline which resurfaced in one specific month last year, particularly from a D'Angelo Wallace video, which caused a lot of people to think, yeah, these guys actually suck and I don't want to support them anymore. I think on the internet there is this really weird belief with specific situations where on two sides one has to be right and one has to be wrong, but I'm going to break that rhetoric and say, in this situation, both sides are wrong for different reasons. But I also have to ask the very serious question of, if I came onto my YouTube channel and I made a video where I accused something of a pretty bad thing, and it made a lot of people turn their heads away from this creator and think, yeah, that guy's a bad person, I don't want to support him anymore, but then it turned out that what I was saying was either a lie or just in general extremely manipulated by me, and I was also being manipulated by another creator. Now then, skip 2 years down the line and another situation comes out about the creator that I lied about. Does that justify my lie? Does that mean my lie becomes true? Because personally, I don't think so. Now, with the situation and Tati Westbrook and James Charles, I definitely think that there was a lot of bad behaviour from James Charles, and I think that he needed to learn from that. But I don't think that is in correlation to the current situation with James Charles, where he should most definitely go to jail. And I'm very much seeing this thing of people kind of using survivors' stories to play, I guess, some form of weird Game of Thrones of where they're saying, well, you know, Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are now good people. Even if both accusations were true, it doesn't deflect from the fact that there is so much bad information out there about Jeffree Star and about Shane Dawson, which has most definitely come to light in the last year. So yes, today we're going to speak about the apparent vindication of Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson. I don't know how we've got to this point, considering all the information out there, but alas, we are going to speak about this, and allow me to give you some context, because I understand a lot of you nuggets out there most definitely are not in tune with everything, so let's go through the timeline. Now, a trigger warning for what I'm going to speak about, because there are some sensitive topics here, so 3, 2, 1. So James Charles was recently exposed for his extremely predatory actions towards his underage fans. This is something which has been going on for the last 2 months, where James actually released a video where he admitted to these messages between him and minors. He said they took place, and this is a federal crime.
These conversations should have never happened, point blank period. There's no excuse for it, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and I take full responsibility for that. I trusted the information that was given to me rather than the information I could have and should have gotten myself. In both of these situations, doing research into these people's public social media profiles would have revealed their true ages, and therefore these conversations would have never happened in the first place.
But it got 271,000 likes! And I have to repeat, what is going on the internet in the last few years? I don't understand. This, like, regardless of Shane Dawson, or Jeffree Star, or Shane Dawson's cat, 271,000 likes on this video.
I'm getting the word. nonce.
But now, because of this situation, it throws us back to the 2019 situation with Tati Westbrook, Shane Dawson, Jeremiah Sandel, and James Stay Away From Kids.
The last phone conversation that James Charles and I had, he said some things telling me about a situation that happened in Seattle at my birthday, and it literally made me want to vomit. Oh my God, you tried to trick a straight man into thinking he's gay yet again, and somehow you're the victim. You know, it's really disgusting to manipulate someone's sexuality, especially when they are still, emerging into adulthood and don't quite have everything figured out. You are using your fame, your power, your money to play with people's emotions. You're threatening to ruin them. You're threatening to embarrass them. And you're doing that to have them behave sexually in your favor, even if they're straight. And you know what? That's not okay. That behavior's not okay.
So yeah, this was a really big situation in 2019, which did basically turn out to be orchestrated by Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson.
While I was definitely upset that he had accepted a sponsorship from the biggest rival to my brand, Halo Beauty, I did not make my video because of vitamins. I made it as a result of all of the poisonous lies that were fed to me by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star.
But yeah, after this video was made in 2019, James Charles made a response video which was around 50 minutes long. He came out of receipts and that was basically it. Nobody else came out of receipts, and the situation basically died off until 2020.
As a victim of abuse myself,
Oh my God. You are so manipulative.
Shane Dawson's a lovely bloke, isn't he? Somebody speaks about their experience of abuse and he sneers his nose. Abuse? Not in my house. I don't know about that, Shane. Because we're going to be speaking about some very strange clips in this video. But alas, that was what happened last year in 2020, because Tati Westbrook released the video where she spoke about Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson and how they basically manipulated her into making her video on James Charles.
I made it as a result of all of the poisonous lies that were fed to me by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star.
Now, a lot of people like to say that this was the video of where Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star's careers basically ended, and I can completely understand that. This was where Tati Westbrook did expose Shane and Jeffree for their manipulation of her to release this video that she made in 2019. But I only see it as a part of an avalanche. I believe at this current period of time, there were a lot of clips coming out about Shane Dawson, a lot of situations involving Jeffree Star covering up predators in his past and continuing to work with them. A lot of people were starting to come to an opinion that these guys were absolutely terrible, and I think what this Tati Westbrook video did was only cause people to believe that the allegations that Jeffree and Shane, I guess, orchestrated, in my opinion, I have to legally say that, were made out of the wrong reasons. They were made to, I guess, get rid of a competitor in the market so they could sell more products. And you may say, well, Fraser, where is the evidence of that? Well, go no further than Shane Dawson's Twitter accounts. Was Jeffree Star excited to see a competitor fall? Probably. He's Jeffree Star. What do you expect? I guess I missed the part where he got baptized and devoted his life to Christ. So yeah, I think we can very much take from this that Jeffree Star's involvement in these allegations was, in particular, a business deal, and it was very clear that Shane Dawson was most definitely supporting Jeffree Star's behaviour and enabling his behaviour. He continued to make videos with the guy after 2019, despite clearly stating that, he was probably excited to see a competitor fall. Now, some people may say, well, why would he disassociate with Jeffree Star over something like that? Well, if you're gonna, call out somebody for their predatory behaviour, I feel like at the same time, if you see somebody excited about that, excited that they're going to make more money because of that, you should see that as an extremely immoral practice. But clearly, Shane didn't care, Jeffree didn't care, and they just continued with their work and working towards more monetary gain. I genuinely believe a lot of the people involved in these allegations were trying to weaponize the Me Too movement, stating something about how he was probably looking forward to seeing a competitor fail, to me just furthers that this guy is absolutely awful. Now, I do want to say, I am not justifying James Charles. I think that guy should be in a prison cell, but what I'm trying to say here is that these original allegations were not made out of a good place in their hearts. I see it as a business move, as Shane Dawson suggested himself. I see it as these awful, terrible people thinking that they can take advantage of a very serious movement which helps survivors get their story out there, and that is shown when Jeffree Star actually backtracked after everything.
I want to give you guys some context. I don't want you to see things that I've written to someone and think, wow, like Jeffree is an evil person, he's a bitch. I want to let you guys know that there is a big piece of the story that I don't think a lot of people know, and that's that behind the scenes, there were people in my head. There were people telling me a lot of stuff, and I don't mean my own friends, I mean people that had known James. They were being very, I don't know the right word, but they were telling me things that was making me feel a whole other way. Should I have let other people get in my head and sway my opinion about someone? No. That's my problem, and I have to deal with that.
Jeffree Star stepped back from these original allegations and basically said that he was swayed into them, which is a completely unique thing for Jeffree Star to say. He is somebody who is extremely stubborn. He usually doesn't want to admit he was wrong, but in this clip, you can definitely see that he is trying to get out of it in a way of blaming it on other people. And even Shane Dawson came out and said that what Jeffree Star said about James Charles was too far, and that makes me think that you cannot compare these allegations in 2021 to the ones in 2019. The ones in 2019, in my opinion, were certain people trying to orchestrate a serious business move and take somebody out of the market by manipulating plenty of people out there. Now, I am most definitely not denying that James Charles didn't do anything bad before 2021, but these allegations weren't made because of that. I think out of everything I have shown today is that these are people who eat each other alive over business and over making more money. It is very clear to me that Jeffree Star saw James Charles was becoming more popular than him and possibly making more money than him, and he did not like that. These people are terrible even with this situation because they did it all for the exact wrong reasons. I almost feel like Jeffree Star stans and Shane Dawson stans are trying to weaponize survivors' stories in order to benefit their favorite creators, despite all of the terrible things that Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star have done, and we're now going to get into that.
Muffins is already asleep over there, so I'm gonna go join her, and we're gonna have a wild cat night.
Because yes, Tati Westbrook's second video did cause an avalanche, and I don't doubt it was something that lit a fire against Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, but it wasn't this video which outright ruined Shane and Jeffree's careers. Because I think if we were to say that, it would honestly discredit all of the things that we have called out Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star for in the past. It would make it redundant, because it's not like it is one situation, it is multiple situations that have come to this penultimate of where people no longer want to support them. As I mentioned earlier, there is a massive timeline of events which have occurred with Shane and Jeffree, and in last year in particular, all of these things resurfaced and people really saw the true colours of these two content creators. I mean, remember these tweets where Jeffree Star called out Dahvie Vanity for his disgusting, immoral, illegal actions? But then only a few years later, Jeffree Star continued to work with the guy. As you can see, Jeffree Star is performing right there, and right next to him is Dahvie Vanity, only a couple of years after making his tweets calling him out for his disgusting predatory behaviour. I mean, I'm not the smartest chicken nugget in the air fryer, but I think this is a pretty valid reason for me to not like Jeffree Star. He called out somebody for their terrible, terrible immoral actions, somebody that ruined people's lives, and continued to work for them. Do you believe that this is somebody that truly cares about survivors' stories? Or is this somebody that weaponizes these stories and uses them to his advantage to take out competitors in the market?
Putting them on that last tour of mine was one of the biggest regrets that I'll have, but I can't take it back.
What was it like on that last tour, 2012? Take me inside.
Oh my God. I had a great time.
He had a great time. He had a wonderful time at this event. A wonderful time indeed, despite this was after he called Dahvie a predator, and despite this was after Dahvie was arrested for multiple terrible things. Because yes, it gets worse.
Back in the day, there was a lot of crazy rumors about Dahvie. There was never any criminal charges against him. He was never put in jail for, I know there was one instance.
One instance. One instance. I wonder what that one instance is, big old Jeffo. What is the one instance that, sweep it under the rug there? Is it just one little thing? One little thing? What is it, Jeffree? Because I'd like to know. Dahvie Vanity was arrested during a show in Colorado in 2009 after a teen fan called the police and told them that Dahvie forced her to perform oral sex on him, and it states that the bands knew and they knew that he had been taken into police custody. And then shortly after that, it gets even worse after Dahvie Vanity basically made a song bragging about getting away with his crimes to do with an 11-year-old survivor. In an extremely threatening song about, yes, an 11-year-old girl with lyrics such as, "My name and reputation won't be the target of a..." Yeah, I'm not going to say that word.
I know there was one instance.
I mean, it's very interesting when you hear what this one instance actually was. It's particularly disgusting. It's vile. And I don't understand how anybody can say Jeffree Star is now all in the clear. Jeffree Star is now vindicated. Because personally, I don't think he is. I'm actually shocked that people still support him. Despite there are so many other things, this one thing alone is absolutely horrendous. This was public information that was basically shoved under the carpet by Jeffree Star. And did Shane Dawson bring this up in any of the documentaries with Jeffree Star? No. Did he confront him on this? No. They continue to make their documentaries and enable each other's behavior and make millions and millions of dollars because these two people do not care. They, in my opinion, they truly do not care about victims, and they are only guilty of weaponizing survivors' stories. But don't worry, guys. Shane missed the part where Jeffree got baptized and devoted his life to Christ. What I'm trying to say here is that there is no right or wrong party in this situation. Both sides are in the wrong for such different reasons. Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson clearly did not care about anything they were speaking about and even backtracked on it when it wasn't financially viable at that point. And also James Charles should most definitely be in a jail cell. As I said earlier, I'm confused to why the internet needs to have one right and one wrong. In this situation, pretty much everyone is in the wrong, just for different reasons. There's no justifications here, there's no me making excuses for anybody. These people are trash. James Charles needs to go to prison. Why are there 270,000 likes on this post? And Jeffree Star, why did you continue to perform with a predator after actually seeing him do things?
I don't have anything to report. If I actually saw and witnessed something, he would be rotting in jail this very moment.
Jeffree, it's particularly interesting that you went on tour with Dahvie Vanity after making these tweets. And now let's talk about Shane Dawson, somebody who has a terrible timeline of just doing awful things. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really didn't know about 90% of these things until last year, particularly D'Angelo Wallace's video. I saw some out of context, yet still awful jokes, but out of context jokes. And I thought, well, they're just out of context, and I'm genuinely embarrassed by that. I am, but to be honest with you, a lot of these things hadn't come to light in like a prominent manner until last year, and I've seen these and I thought, wow, I do not want to support this guy after seeing these things. And I think a lot of people out there did, which again makes me question why people believe that this James Charles situation is the only reason people stepped away from Jeffree and Shane. Because as I said, clips resurfaced and some of them were just... they were just disgusting.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I like her nail polish.
Now show yourself.
No, sweetheart. What's your name? What's your name, sweetie? What's your name?
This is making us look really egotistical.
I
It's
know.
making me uncomfortable. Let me do
Okay. Here, talk to her. Tell her to calm down. Calm down, yeah.
I love you too. Can you twerk for us? I know twerking is insane.
Oh, I love you too.
Oh, I love you too. Now shut up and twerk. Maybe she can't hear us. Here, wait.
Okay, okay.
Twerk for us.
I've seen a lot of people out there saying that this was a joke. It was a joke and just Shane Dawson being his old edgy self. And I say, no, this was a complete abuse of a power imbalance. This is a clear fan. This is a fan coming into interactive content, which shows that they're probably a more dedicated fan than a casual, and they're probably easier to get manipulated. And Shane Dawson has asked them to twerk. That is vile. It's... it's embarrassing that I supported this guy, and I think a lot of people do feel embarrassed, and there are plenty of other clips out there, but this one in particular just gets even worse.
Yeah, now tell her to show herself.
Stop it, Shane Lee.
It's incredibly disturbing behavior, and I'll say it again, it is a complete abuse of a power imbalance, and there are plenty of other clips out there very similar to this where Shane Dawson is doing extremely disturbing things and saying disturbing things and basically just being a complete and utter wrong'un, and I'm not going to show them in this video because they are extremely well documented on the internet. The content is extremely disturbing in my opinion, and I just don't believe that we need to go through every single bit when you can find it from one YouTube search. I mean, recently I even found an extract from a book that Shane Dawson wrote and monetized where he admitted that he pretended to be a girl in school so he could ruin his classmates' lives in revenge. With Shane Dawson and with Jeffree Star in the last year, it very much seems to be this repetitive cycle of one thing and another thing and another thing and a million other things from their past will come up, which they most definitely covered up from deleted videos or just things outright deleted from Twitter or swept under the rug altogether, and they have made us think, yeah, these guys are terrible, and that just confuses me to why people are now saying that these guys are vindicated.
As a victim of abuse myself,
Oh my god. You are so manipulative.
It's absolutely insane to me that this is a guy that says that James Charles needed a slice of the humble pie because of his actions, but when somebody actually speaks about their experience with abuse, he just goes, blah, 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 blah. Well, Shane, are you serious? You're apparently standing up for survivors, but at the same time, you are blatantly dismissing a survivor.
To be honest with you, I've had clients that have gone online, watched Shane's stuff, and said, I don't want to be a part of that.
When I was an actor, I was auditioning for everything. I don't quite understand the logic of being picky when you have no job.
Now, this came from the production of Shane Dawson's movie Not Cool, where some of the actors came to Shane and said that they're not really comfortable performing some of the scenes that Shane had written into the movie, and it was clear that, you know, he didn't care about them being comfortable or not. He didn't care about any of it, and yeah, he just got incredibly mad. And now, this isn't the worst clip in the world, don't get me wrong, but I think it very much shows that this nice persona that he put out on the internet for so long really just was a load of bullshit. I mean, do I even need to mention Shane Dawson's documentary of Eugenia Cooney where he blatantly exploits her for views and monetary gain? I feel like this documentary was so insensitive and so wrong. Consider Eugenia Cooney only a few months before that was getting help for her situation, and Shane thought it would be a good idea to put her on a platform to 30+ million people. How was that a good idea? How did we just accept that? I simply don't know, and publicly it really does seem that Shane has basically abandoned her. Sure, he may have spoken to Eugenia in private, but I very much feel like if you're going to make this series with Eugenia, at least continue to give her more public help and support her. But in my opinion, it very much doesn't seem like that. There are so many dark and terrible stories about Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, and maybe some of them have been grossly exaggerated, but you don't need to go further than the Dahvie Vanity story, where Jeffree Star obviously remained friends with Dahvie because it financially benefited him. And that is the thing with Jeffree and Shane. They do all of these things, in my opinion, for monetary gain. They take advantage of the Me Too movement for monetary gain, as we saw when Shane Dawson and said that he was probably looking forward to a competitor fall. And to be honest with you, if the James Charles situation didn't even happen on both sides, I still would not support Shane Dawson, because I believe that he is outright enabling Jeffree Star's behavior, and he's allowing him to get away with the things that he's got away with over the last 10 years. He did a documentary with Jeffree Star, but did not mention the hard-hitting questions. Maybe one or two, but overall, they just swept it under the carpet, and I believe in the hope that nobody would find it, so they can go on and make makeup parts and make lots and lots of money. That's why even with the Dahvie Vanity situation alone, I can't support both of them, because I know for a fact that they hid away from it because they know if it got popularized or spoken about, they would be hindered in the financial markets. In conclusion to this video, it seems that everything comes down to when a situation involves two different parties and people thinking one has to be wrong and one has to be right. Whereas in this situation, that very much defeats this argument, because James, Jeffree, and Shane are all terrible people for different reasons. And I think if we start to justify somebody's actions because of somebody else's terrible actions, that is disgusting, and I'm not going to do that. And I hope all of the survivors involved in these stories truly do get the justice that they deserve, and I really, really hope that they don't have to see the people that abused them and took advantage of them get back to a significant level of power. If I see James Charles come back and get millions of views, I'm going to be absolutely disgusted. But that is the end of the video. I promise the next video will be more cheery. I just needed to cover this situation because it is absolutely confusing to me. But yes, please like this video, because I'm sure that there are going to be some Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star stans that dislike bomb this video. Let's try and get it to 35,000 likes. And also please subscribe to the channel just to, you know, boost the channel. And please get this video into the algorithm and share it and all that good monarchy. Thanks so much for coming along. Please follow my Twitter at inabberbusiness, and I will see you on Friday, maybe? Who knows? Bye-bye. Adios.